G'day guys, welcome back to the channel, and we are back on the IRS installation on the XB Coupe. So let's have a little look here and see where we're up to. So first of all, I was just going to mention with this IRS, what I ended up doing is pretty much putting most of the original OEM parts back on, as in these arms. And the reason being is I did have, well, let's use this as an example. This is one of the aftermarket ones that I had, and they're all fully adjustable. Now, the thing that worried me is I had all, I think there's three of them, one there, one underneath, and this one up the back there. So they were all adjustable, and what worried me is I'm busy trying to locate this thing in the car, and I'm trying to get it like millimeter perfect as to where it's meant to be. And I just sort of thought maybe the safest way is to put all these OEM parts back on, and then that way I know that the IRS is, all the geometry and everything is set up the way that it was designed to be in the factory. And the only reason I've still got that one there is because all of my original OEM stuff was bent. So I bought some replacements, but that was one that I actually didn't get around to buying. I think it was because by that stage I actually decided to go aftermarket. So having said that, I've just basically wound all the adjustment right in, and I've got it fairly close, within 2-3 millimeters of the original. So but the rest of it I've just put the OEM stuff on, so hopefully everything should be fine. And then basically once it's installed and it's all exactly where it needs to be, then we could look at installing that aftermarket stuff and have all the extra adjustability. So just for now I think it's a safer way to go. So what I've done inside here is I've already made up these fish plates. So you've got one fish plate at the back there, one up the front here, and just along the way I decided to get a little arty-farty and cut a few little shapes out of it, just make it look a little bit more interesting. I don't know, I saw some on the internet. I was looking up fish plates on the internet, and I'd seen all these different styles. Some of them look pretty basic, some of them looked pretty ugly, and then I saw some that were people actually got a little artistic with them. So that's what I decided to do. I sort of thought, well, you get under the car and you have a look and you go, oh wow, okay, it's interesting. With the subframe, I found that I need to make a couple of alterations to it in order for it to just to match up to the car without looking too agricultural. So what I mean by that is inside the car the chassis rails sort of come down, and they just come shy of that corner of that RHS. And I spoke to the engineer, and he said because this thing's a little bit over engineered, there's still tolerance to take some of the material off these RHSs. So so what I'm going to do, I've got my lines marked out there. I'm just going to get the plasma cutter. I'm just going to whip that top part, run a plasma cut straight through the top there, and then there's another one just down here. And then the way it's worked out, it's quite handy really, is that the piece that I need to add in on an angle is 50 mil, and I've got some 50 mil by 3 mil flat bar here, so that works out good. I should be able to just add a piece of flat bar in there, hopefully without any trimming needed, and then just weld her up. And then what that'll end up doing is it'll mean that where my chassis rail comes down, this just blends in just nicely and flush with the chassis rail. And I'm talking about inside the car where the back seat area is. So that's the, sorry I didn't say that before, but this is actually the front of the subframe. So your back seat area goes up there. So A, it'll blend into the chassis rail, and then B, I'm thinking the other good thing about it is that when I end up sheet metaling over the chassis rail, this is actually going to give me another surface once that flat bar's installed on a slight angle. That's going to give me another surface to plug weld into. Once I lay the sheet metal over for the back support or what have you, I can just plug weld into there. And then also the area under the back seat, it's going to be basically come along here, and yeah, so anyway. Okay, so what I've done, I've just taken this subframe outside and sandblasted it, and just getting ready to throw a coat of epoxy on it. And the reason why I did that is, I don't know, just thought it seemed like a good idea at the time. You know, I just sort of thought it might be easier to prep and get this thing in epoxy while it's out of the car, and sandblasting is a really good way to, you know, to sort of blend away a lot of the scratch marks from the sanding disc and what have you. So, and it also gives the, you know, the surface a, you know, a good, it makes the surface good for the paint to bite into. That's what I'm trying to say. So I just thought it'd be a lot easier to do this out of the car than try to sort of like get around it when it's in the car, because there's going to be some pretty tight spaces, you know, in between here and the chassis rails and whatnot. So we'll just go ahead, we'll get some epoxy on that, and then we'll be ready to install it. guys, she's in, and I've got to say that I'm pretty pleased with it so far. I think it's looking pretty good. I've actually, I do have some locating points on the front of the subframe which line up with the IRS. I haven't bothered trying to get it perfect at the moment because I've just put it in for demonstration. But when it comes time for final fit-ups, somebody suggested in the comments last time that I do that, and I think it was a great idea. So the way it is at the moment, I've got 2 points in the subframe which have a 10mm hole drilled through them, and I'm going to make up a locating tool which fits through the IRS frame or cradle, and it will line them up. So that's really good. So yeah, she's all in, and what we might do is we'll have a bit of a look around. So I ended up doing some work on the wheel tub as well, because it was basically looking a bit ready. This side was probably the best of the two. If any of you watched any earlier episodes, you remember that the driver's side wheel tub had a pretty less than good repair done on it at some stage, so I'm going to have to try to do what I can to rectify that. But yeah, this has come out alright. What I ended up doing is I felt that it would be a lot stronger if the tub actually met the frame, so I've just moved it 30mm, and if you look at it from behind, so yeah, so I think that looks a lot better. This is how it would have looked. I would have had to have put a filler panel in between there, and I think that doing it this way, it's probably going to add more strength to the car, more rigidity, as the tub is connected directly to the chassis rail. So yeah, she's coming along good. I haven't done that one yet. Well, actually, obviously I didn't film that one. Basically forgot to, and when I remembered I was already halfway through it, so I thought I'll save filming for the next one. But yeah, just sort of thought I'll close the video off here, let you have a look at how it's all sort of looking, and just pick that other side up next time. Alright, well, I'm going to end the video here, guys, so thanks again for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and like and share, and we'll catch you in the next one.